So glad to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me on Do Not Talk. Talk about two things you're never supposed to talk about: politics and religion, anything else too. They tell me I'm not supposed to talk to somebody. That's what the media has done for years. That's all I've done all my life, radio and television. I'm CharLee Simons, and welcome to the show. Chisti Grab is back on. This is like her third or fourth time back on, and every time it's always a bombshell. Bam. I love it. She's the one that really spearheaded the investigation and drawing attention to the fact that our own elected representatives, most of them on the left, but I have a feeling there's probably some on the right too, who are not taking their required oath of office. You can't serve. You're not supposed to be able to. That's your precursor. You're going to do this. You're going to pledge this. You're going to swear this oath to protect the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. There are several different oaths that you have to swear. I'm familiar most with the military one, haven't actually done it. And I'm not sure of the wording of somebody who, let's say, is like Scott Weiner, that wicked demon from San Francisco who got elected senator and is now running to take Nancy Pelosi's congressional seat because he's terming out. And he'll probably win. Sadly, that's how stupid people are in the San Francisco Bay Area. Oh, CharLee, that's not right. You're supposed to talk nice to all the Democrats so that they'll come over and they'll start voting for, they'll vote for Steve Hilton for governor or something. Please stop telling me that. No. That's between them and the Lord as to whether they decide they change. I'm not going to, anything I say because I talk nicer to them. Oh gosh, I sure hope you like me. I've seen that my entire life. Republicans going, boy, okay, I'll cooperate with you. Just invite me to the cool parties, would you? Oh, be my friend. Those dudes have got to go. They got to go. They can't stay in office. I want them out. I want those kind of rhinos, weak little candy-ass rhinos out. And I pray that we'll do it this November in California, but I don't hold out a lot of hope. Mainly, I'm a little jaded, I guess, at this point. I've seen too many really great people run for office and then get shot down by the establishment Republicans, the Democrats, anybody who tries to actually protect our constitutional God-given rights, or God-given rights protected by the Constitution. Anytime we have anybody running for office that's trying to protect that, trying to make sure that we follow those guidelines, they're ruined. They are ruined. So all the ones we have left over are just spineless. And I mean just about every one of them now at this point, at least in California. And the ones who are really good are getting promoted, like Bill Asaley. Bill Asaley from California now working with the Trump administration and getting things done. Making things happen. That's what Chisti does. She gets things done. She makes things happen. She's quite amazing to me. And the media just keeps covering it up. Let's go back a year or so to one of my favorites, Dan Bongino, pointing out how the media silenced one of their own.
Just to set the stage, it was the fall of 2023. I had tried to enterprise a story that would bring the Twitter files to CBS News. It didn't get as far as I had hoped, but an interview opportunity developed with Elon Musk, and the offer was to do a live interview with him on X. So I took that opportunity to the CBS News executives. And they said, we just can't do it live. And I was like, what do you mean we can't do it live? And they said, well, we don't know what he's going to say. And I was like, wait a second. Isn't that what journalism is all about?
I'm going to confess something to you right now. I was on the outs almost from the beginning. I had a very successful career, a lot of great highlights, a lot of fun. I had a great career. I loved it. I would still be doing it if the business wasn't in the complete shambles that it is now. They're not hiring, they're firing. Everything's going automated. People don't listen to the radio anymore like they used to. People don't watch television anymore like they used to, at least not broadcast network stuff. And that's what I did, CBS, ABC. And I enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to at least be a part of it before it all crashed and burned. But all those years in the media, being a conservative, and they knew it. But people liked me. They thought I was funny and stuff like that. That's what I did. I was one of those funny morning show guys, one of those funny morning radio guys. And on television, it was always like commercials and so on, or engaging personality. And I just was able to connect well with people on camera when a lot of people, can't. And the biggest thing that I noticed very early in my career was how much they hate you. They do. People in the media hate you. Having a discussion yesterday with a guy in the business, and he goes, yeah, we were talking about the Hollywood types and the celebrities and how much they hate us. They love the adoration. They love the attention. They crave it, but they don't want to actually hang with you backstage. They despise that kind of stuff. It's like one of those necessity things. Oh, you got to meet your people. Me, I was on the other hand going, put me on that listener bus to the Toby Keith concert. Absolutely. I'd be right there with him. I'd be hanging with him. All my friends were listeners and viewers. I rarely had friends in my own business because they hated the fact that I liked you. I actually liked hanging out with you. I wanted to be a part of your life. I really wanted to know what you're doing. I just didn't ask and not really listen. I remembered your name. Always. I'd see you a year later and I'd remember your name and I'd go, hey, how's your dog Sophie or whatever. You know why? Because I really did care. I really did. They hated me for that. So now they're hating on you because they want you to just sit back and get spoon-fed whatever they decide they want to tell you. They're doing the devil's work just as quickly as possible for his time is short. That's what they're doing. There's an agenda in the media. All forms. Even little small towns, like one I live by, it's a charming little town, and everybody thinks it's a red county, and everybody's conservative. Oh, no. You got wicked demons in the media there, and they're little periodical newspapers and so on, and they peck and peck and peck and chip away and chip away. That's what they're doing all the time. They love it. As they go home and shut you out and bury themselves into whatever crappy video game or Dungeons and Dragons or whatever else they're doing to shut you out, shut out the world, and usher in the demons. It's so bad. So when I meet somebody like Chisti, who's not afraid, but doesn't have a voice, at least to get out to you, I'm putting her on. I'm putting people like her on. I want you to meet these people. I want to give them a voice. That's what I do. That's why I have politicians on. I don't care if they're in my district or not. I want you to meet them. I want you to know there are people out there who are fighting. Don't give up. That's, I think, probably the basic premise of everything I do. Don't give up. You're not alone. You're not the only one who thinks this way and sees what's going on and has wrung your hands maybe. Oh, what are we going to do? I don't know what to do. I know I'll just zone out. I'll ignore it, and I hope things get better. We got to be engaged, and that's why I have Chisti on. And I'm looking forward to hearing what the news is now on Do Not Talk. Are you ready? Hit it. What we first started talking about, Chisti and me, was her discovering that so many of these politicians are not swearing their oath of office. and the media
Yeah.
doesn't show up anymore for it. And this is a required thing for them to be able to serve in that capacity that they, even if they were voted into, you don't get to serve unless you take that oath.
Right.
Unless
So
they've changed the law in California.
So all the oaths are the same as required by federal government. There are some states that have added extra words to their oaths, but I think most of them just follow the federal constitution. But the federal constitution requires that every government employee take an oath or they are working unlawfully. They're considered foreign agents posing as government agents. And I think every state has as well. I mean, California's constitution requires that we take an oath. And when California's constitution was set, they actually added words to the oath that are no longer used. And that's controversial. It has to do with a legal ruling in a different state, not in California. And so California cut out the extra words based on that ruling in another state, and whether or not the oaths currently being administered are lawful is subject to debate. But I don't want to debate like in the gray areas. I just want to say that right now, more than half the state senators don't have oaths, and consistently the state senators don't take oaths, and it's Republicans the same as Democrats. I know you have a lot of faith in the Republicans, but they don't take oaths either.
Oh, not in California. Oh no, I don't have any faith in Californians, of Republicans in California. No, I do in my party. Yes, absolutely. There's a reason why I am part of it. And I do believe in it and what we believe in. And I'm a Ronald Reagan guy, Theodore Roosevelt guy, Abraham Lincoln guy, one of those kind of Republicans, but Donald Trump guy. But no, California is, as I said earlier on.
But here's the thing is like the state Senate knows all these senators are working unlawfully. They don't do anything about it. The Secretary of State knows that they're working unlawfully. The state Senate actually committed fraud to cover it up by sending me a letter saying that, they're not really required to take oaths consistently. And it's like, yeah, they like took one law out of context and like ignored the Constitution and a bunch of other laws. Constitutions, because federal and state, and a bunch of other laws. So like the Secretary of State is involved in this cover up. The Attorney General won't prosecute. Like the Attorney General has the sole purview to prosecute oath violations. He won't do anything about it. And Malia Cohen, the state controller, is supposed to not be paying these people, and she's still paying them. She hasn't cut them off. So like the whole government is complicit in this. And this is a good segue into one of the news items I wanted to talk about. It's something that happened at the end of last year that flew under the radar. And I feel like it's one of the most disturbing pieces of news I've ever seen. And so I think it's important to talk about. Last year, like in December of last year, AB 1518 was passed by our legislators. And in January of 2026, Newsom signed it into law. And it is currently codified as Revenue and Tax Code 18537. And so that is the state of California basically has agreed to turn a blind eye to illegal aliens being exploited as long as the state gets a cut of the money, a big cut of the money. And so basically the employers are allowed to file group tax returns on behalf of their illegal immigrant employees. So they just have to say how many employees they have and the total amount of money they all made together as a group. They don't have to do any kind of documenting that they have held up the minimum wage requirements or like the number of hours worked requirements. Any of the laws, they don't have to prove that they've complied with any of the laws. They just have to say how many illegals they had and how much they made. And so then the employer files a group tax return. And the illegals are charged the highest tax rate, the ones that like millionaires pay. And they're also charged a 1% mental health fee that is only instituted on people who make 1 million or more. So basically, not only did the state agree to turn a blind eye to human trafficking, it's actually facilitating and profiting from human trafficking itself. And not one legislator voted against it. Not one. 13 did abstain from voting, but everyone who voted for it. And not one person voted against it. They just abstained. And I think every one of them should be prosecuted because this is a violation of the 13th Amendment. Like, you can't allow people to be exploited and enslaved. Like, this is a constitutional right. And, you wonder why people aren't signing, like the legislators aren't signing oaths when they're passing legislation like this.
They're making it easy for business owners too, farmers, ranchers, business, whatever, construction.
Yeah,
companies.
and then simultaneously,
why would I hire somebody who's legal? Why would I hire one of my own fellow American citizens to do a job when I can bypass all the rules and regs by putting an illegal in there? They've made it even more. They've enticed businesses to start using illegal immigrants to do the jobs.
That is correct. And meanwhile, this year, they've been trying to pass legislation to make it all the harder with the paperwork for employers. So it's like, I hire someone legally with all this headache and hassle tied to it and all these regulations and all this excessive paperwork, or I just hire illegal and I just have to do one single group tax return.
That doesn't seem like an accident to me.
And I get to pay them less, and I get to overwork them, and no one will do anything about it.
That doesn't seem like an accident to me at all.
No.
So they want to solidify the illegal stain here because they've got a new voting base by the millions that have just walked right across the border, and they know that most of these people are going to vote for them, Democrats.
So I actually don't believe they're really voting themselves. I believe that somebody's voting on their behalf. Like they're
doing for the homeless.
Yeah, exactly. So we've talked about this, that program that the Franchise Tax Board has to find illegal aliens and sign them up for Franchise Tax Board issued tax ID numbers. And then they take that tax ID number and they register them to vote. And I'm willing to bet a lot of money that those voter registrations don't go to the actual illegals, that the voter registrations go to some data center where they vote on their behalf. I'm going to lay money on that. I really don't think the majority of illegals are aware that they've been registered to vote, but they are. It's automatic with benefits.
What do we do? What's going on? Do we have any hope of actually winning some seats this coming November?
Not if they don't get vote rigging under control, but there's a lot of hope. They call it hopium, right? That's going around right now with everything that's been happening with Newsom. And the people who are hopeful have cited the fact that there's currently 664,500 federal sealed indictments waiting to be unsealed. And
wait, what is this? Say this again.
So currently there are 664,500 federal sealed indictments waiting to be unsealed, and that's nationwide, and I think in the territories also. And so there's a lot of people who believe that there's going to be, so remember in El Salvador, the way they got their government back was they arrested 40,000 people all at the same time. And so they got all the cartel members all at once before they had a chance to hear that people were being arrested and flee, before they had a chance to destroy evidence and stuff. So
and before the media could jump into it and start spreading panic. So people rose up against the government because these terrible people are trying to take away all their freebies.
Right. And Facebook and several social media sites went down during that raid. They all just like mysteriously stopped working for a while until that was over. And so that was, coordinated so they couldn't like text or send out messages to other people via social media. And I'm sure they had, internally, they probably took down the cell network is my guess. I don't know about internally, but, so there's a lot of people who are hopeful that that kind of takedown will happen in the United States. 97,000 of those indictments are in California. And so a lot of people are hoping that all the corruption that's been coming out with the hospice fraud and the vote rigging and Newsom's pay-to-play schemes and his stealing taxpayer money, like they're hoping that all this is coming out so that people won't.
They better hurry. You realize we're just under 4 months away from the midterm election in November. We're that close now.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know what to think. I really don't. Like, I know you're a Trump supporter, and I hope that Trump is everything that he claims to be. It's going to be a time will tell thing, but
so
I'm
not
gonna lie.
I don't have blind allegiance to anybody, but I have been greatly encouraged. I mean, imagine if he was not in office right now.
Oh my God.
Where would we be?
It would be just horrible. I mean, just the child trafficking alone. I mean, ugh. So on that note, let's talk about what I just participated in. So
good.
I did not organize this. I just participated in it. And so I probably am not the best person to interview because I don't know the details, but since nobody's talking about it, I figure it's better to have like partial details than all the details.
I think I know what you're about to bring up. And I did watch a little bit of the video. I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but
4 hours.
You're talking about, well, there you go. You're talking about grand jury stuff. And I'm glad you're bringing it up because I'm going to confess to you right now. Remember, I'm just a good old boy from Bakersfield. I didn't even make it all the way through junior college. I think I took one semester of civics. My education on how our system of government works, especially the judicial side, is dismal. But I ask questions and I talk to people who know more than I do. And I'm not afraid to say, I don't know these things. So this whole grand jury thing, I didn't even know all the particulars of it or even how it worked until a friend of mine who I had invited to be on the show, who was part of Moms for Liberty. I invited this friend to be on the show again. And this friend said, I can't now. I'm on a grand jury. And I feel so embarrassed, but Chisti, I said, what is that? I didn't know. It's a very powerful thing and an awesome thing, and it's being utilized now. So for anyone like me who's ignorant on that subject, what is a grand jury? How does this work?
Okay, so let's back up to types of law. So when this country was founded, statutory law, which is the law that we're familiar with, that's currently practiced in the court system, was only for corporations. And common law or constitutional law was for the people. And sheriffs were supposed to uphold constitutional law, and police upheld statutory law. As
statutory meaning whatever the city council and the board of supervisors for the county decided the law should be.
That is correct. Okay, so common law, there's no attorneys and there's no statutes at all. It's just common sense. So if I feel like I have been harmed, I go to the common law court. This is how it used to be. You go to the common law court, They would convene a jury of like 25 peers. You would make your argument and show your proof of why you were harmed. The other side would make their argument and show their proof of why they weren't harmed. The jury would deliberate, and then they would render a ruling. And there was no lawyers involved. The judge never made a ruling. The judge was just like a magistrate, like a paper pusher. And so that's the way it worked until Social Security numbers were issued. And then when they started issuing Social Security numbers, anybody with a Social Security number is now considered a corporation subject to statutory law. And so they closed all the common law courts because they required everybody to have a Social Security number. So like everybody was now subject to these statutory law system, which is totally rigged. You have to have an attorney. Most people can't afford an attorney. If you're like convicted of a crime, you get the public defender whose job it is to lose on purpose. I mean, like, it's really a completely rigged system now. And so if we brought back common law, we would have remedy via the sheriffs. Because that's what the sheriffs were supposed to be, and they were hijacked as well by statutory law. So, so for decades, I mean, at least 40 years now, people have been trying to restore common law and bring that back so that we regular people have a venue to have our grievances heard, whether civil or criminal. It's for both. And so now I'm going to just stop with constitutional law or common law for a moment and go to statutory law. Statutory law also has grand juries. In most states, they only have criminal grand juries where the prosecutors convene a jury to to review evidence to see if they can issue indictments for crimes. But California is one of the few states that has a civil grand jury where people have the right to regulate the government corruption. So the civil grand jury is a group of people who go after corruption in the government. And we're one of the few states that have that. That's a very powerful tool. It's also been manipulated. We talked about on a different show how you can get involved on a civil grand jury and be in the belly of the beast to fight government corruption from the inside, which is an exciting opportunity and something that we should talk about again in like October when it's time to apply again.
Okay. All right.
But anyway, so back to common law. So there's an organization called Toll and Roll that decided we're going to do a civil grand jury trial. And we're starting it. We're starting a civil grand jury court via common law. And so last week on July 1, they had a civil grand jury trial. And so everybody who was invited to attend, all were harmed by the government, and not just one government agency. It was multiple agencies working in collusion with one another to harm people. And so I was in order to be invited to attend, like you had to have rock solid proof. So I was invited to attend, and I feel very honored that they considered my evidence to be credible enough that they wanted me involved in this. Dozens and dozens and dozens of people submitted written testimony. Only a few were chosen to speak. I was one of the few chosen to speak. So again, I'm like, wow. But to be fair, one of the reasons why I was chosen to speak was because they didn't really have anyone for the franchise tax board, and so it was actually, I was probably the default franchise tax board person, to be honest, because they were going after various agencies in various states, and they were trying to get a sampling of it. But all these people testified, and a clear pattern of abuse emerged, that it didn't seem to matter what the situation or the agency, somehow they all followed the same playbook in order to harm the constituent.
She's involved in not only the whole elected representatives not swearing their oath of office, required oath of office, which means that everything that they voted on, all the crap that they pushed through during COVID, what they're doing now with the AB 73 and the Stop Nick Shirley Act and all the other crap that they're just pushing through.
You realize the Stop Nick Shirley Act is also the Stop Chisti Grab Act, because I keep reporting on FTB corruption.
Stop CharLee Simons Act. What are you talking about? It's targeting all of us who are exposing fraud. It's targeting all of us. And the fact that we just talked about the hiring practices of illegals and how our own state government is making it easier for businesses to hire illegals instead of us. And please don't say that white people aren't willing to do these jobs. I'm so sick of hearing really ignorant people say that.
So
my family picked crops when they came out here from Oklahoma and Arkansas during the Dust Bowl and during the Second World War. I have been in the fields. Yes, we do the jobs, but now it's not even offered to us because you have rules and regs that come with it if you're hiring an actual citizen.
Yeah.
So she points out things like this, and this is actual purposeful harm against we the people, causing us harm monetarily and in so many other ways. But she's also working on against the Franchise Tax Board of California. And we covered that, I think, if I remember right, in the last show. You got a lot of things going on, sister. You got a lot of stuff going on. And it's starting to gain traction.
It started with the Franchise Tax Board, but like it's a thread. Like you pull on the thread. Like nobody has that I've ever seen has reported on the AB 1518 bill. But I found out about it because I watched the Franchise Tax Board meetings and they talked about it at the Franchise Tax Board meeting. So I was like, what is that? And so then I asked the disclosure department for more information and was like, holy guacamole. Like, it's horrible. And then as to Americans not wanting to do the jobs, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida right now for hurricane season. And the jobs that allegedly illegals don't want to do are being done by Americans all over here. So believe me, they're going to do it in California if they're doing it in Jacksonville. It's just a matter of wages being livable, right?
Right.
But that means bringing cost of living down so that livable wages can be paid. And so one of my things that irritates me is that the government taxes are progressive, which means the more money you make, the bigger percentage of money you make. And so they are intentionally inflating costs of living so that you are forced to generate more money in order to survive, and they get a bigger cut of that money. So then they're getting 9% instead of 5% or whatever the break is,
Increasing beyond what the market would bear, saying that your home is worth.
Mm-hmm.
You paid a certain amount for it, and the next thing you know, you're getting a supplemental tax here and another one there, and it turns out your place is worth more, and because we said so.
And in California, because of Prop 13, we don't see very many people losing their homes. But in other states that don't have Prop 13, old people are constantly losing their homes due to inflated property taxes. Their property taxes will jump up from year to year so high that it's like more than their Social Security, and then they lose the state takes the county takes their homes away due to property tax, like not being able to pay their property taxes. And that happens a lot in other states, a lot. That's why it's so important that we don't let Prop 13 go.
And they've got yet another a proposal on the ballot that's coming November, trying to take the legs out from under it.
Yeah, every year they try.
Yep.
Because they want to steal the properties, right? Like they want to own everything. They want you to own nothing and be happy. So they come up with all
exactly right. This is ushering in the one world government, new world order, Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum crap. That's what this is.
Yeah. So
Gavin Newsom's a graduate of that school. He loves that. He loves that whole idea. That's what they're trying to do in the Palisades. That's what they're trying to do in Malibu. That's what they're trying to do on Maui, at Paradise in Northern California, up where I used to live, Grizzly Flats in El Dorado County. These fires come through uncontrolled and out of control, and people die, and then they swoop in and they don't let you rebuild. They don't give you the permits to rebuild, and it's crazy, and it's not sustainable. It's got to get to a point to where, thank God, President Trump is at least trying. I believe that he's trying to rescue us as much as he can, but he's handcuffed by this pesky U.S. Constitution that says there's state rights, and we have not. This all boils down to, Chisti, us sitting back and not even voting, us sitting back and not even getting involved.
Well,
I'll let somebody else handle it.
If you believe the votes aren't rigged, I mean, I completely believe that
they are. Oh no, I'm saying we've gotten to this point because of apathy.
Yeah.
We sat back and started giving up and quitting and not getting involved a long time ago. We, as in on the right, or just my fellow Californians, our fellow Californians. The apathy is pathetic, and because of it, that's where we are now. And then people like Chisti come up and go, wait, this is going on. Did you all notice that? How about what they're doing over here? This is terrible. And the media just goes, psst. Nope, not interested, not talking about it, not bringing it up. It won't turn into ratings. It's not sensational enough. There's no blood. If it bleeds, it leads. There's no blood here. Well, there is. They're draining us dry of our life blood and our rights to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what's happening because we don't get involved. So please get registered to vote if you're not yet. Please, this year we need you so much.
That's what this grand jury trial was about. All the mechanisms that the government uses to steal our life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, put us in cages, steal our properties, suck our souls out, unlawfully encumber us. So there were several people who testified about their parents being kidnapped. And I knew, when our parents wound up in the hospital, we knew Adult Protective Services came out routinely in order to evaluate the situation. And with my dad was told he's not allowed to live alone anymore, but my dad had nothing. So they sent him to live with me because he had nothing. But come to find out at this civil grand jury, if your parents have an estate, they will basically force your parent into a facility and steal the estate and sell it off for pennies on the dollar in order to pay these facility fees and forced guardianship fees. They won't let the kids be the guardian. They assign a court appointed guardian. They won't let them pick their own lawyers. They assign a court lawyer. And it's unreal. And so many people testified about this happening all over the country. It's like a coordinated thing that APS is doing to steal old people's estates. Yeah, and then they lock up the old people. They imprison them. It's just unreal. What's going on?
Adult Protective Services, and they seem to have such an attitude of, you will comply, or we're showing up with the sheriff. And then the sheriff will enforce the law. Well, what law is that? Who decided that law? What law are you talking about? That's what'd you call it? There was the common law, there was the constitutional law, and what was the third one?
So constitutional law and common law are the same thing. It's just they're both names for the same thing. And then statutory law is
statutory.
only meant for corporations. And
That's only meant for corporations. Well, then
Right.
how does Adult Protective Services have such extensive powers?
Because the system is rigged, and it's rigged. The APS will falsify evidence. They'll take it to the judge. The judge
Child
will.
Protective Services does the same thing.
It's an identical playbook with Child Protective Services and Adult Protective Services for stealing the child. But Adult Protective Services has the added layer of stealing the property also, or stealing the person. But then, Adult Protective Services also steals estates. Like the judge will void the trust. Oh, and this is rich.
That's what I was just going to ask. What if the property is in a trust?
Right. So the judge voids the trust. And then when the person dies, the trust has been voided. So then they go into probate, and the probate court steals anything that might be left. It's unreal. I know.
What good is a trust if a judge can just go, yeah, no?
You know what? Listening to all these heartbreaking testimonies, I'm actually really glad that our parents had nothing when they died. I mean, because my God, it was already tough enough to deal with aging parents as it was, and to have them kidnapped, oh gosh, I can't even imagine, but our parents didn't have anything, so they weren't worth kidnapping, so it was all good. But anyway, let me continue on. So when we submitted all these documents, we submitted them, all of our proof, like a written testimony and our proof to accompany the written testimony. We submitted it to the civil grand jury. We also copied DOJ and the Office of Management and Budget on the documents as well. And allegedly, and so the Office of Management and Budget they work directly for Trump. Their task is to meet his policy, budget, management, and regulatory objectives, and to fill the agency's statutory responsibilities. Is allegedly, that's what they do. And so the people who organize the civil grand jury, so let me back up. So the jury meeting was yesterday, and the reason why I scheduled the interview for today was because I thought the jury results would be public, and then you could be the first one to hear the news. But they were actually the public wasn't invited to watch. It was a private thing, and that's because they're saying who they want indictments against. So I guess they want to keep that quiet until.
Remind us of what this is about, though. We've covered at least 3 different pretty big things.
I know, I keep jumping around. I'm so sorry. Okay.
That's all right.
So the civil grand jury trial via common law that happened on July 1, this organization said, we're bringing common law back, and we're going to have a civil grand jury trial. And they put on trial all the people that participated in the trial were all harmed by the government, and all of us had different government agencies colluding or conspiring together to perpetrate the harm. And so, I was originally harmed by the Franchise Tax Board, but a bunch of agencies colluded to protect the Franchise Tax Board. The Office of Tax Appeals, San Diego Superior Court, the Office of Risk and Insurance Management, the California Auditor's Office. There's, the State Controller's Office. There's a whole long list of agencies that conspired and colluded to protect this government racket that the FTB was running. And so I was one of a lot of people who testified about how all these agencies colluded together. Adult Protective Services, the courts, this
is almost like a class action suit against the government is what it sounds like. For all the grievances, throw them all in. Let's just do it. Let's. What this is all about is to try and force some attention.
Yeah. So we all submitted evidence, and in all of our evidence, we named names of the specific people at the agencies who actually perpetrated the harm or perpetrated the cover-up for the harm. And so the civil grand jury is supposed to issue indictments on the people that they felt like our evidence was credible against. So they're supposed to be So anyway, remember the Weiner thing? Like I went through the whole the 3-step common law process, but then once he defaulted,
I'm just childish enough to laugh and smirk when remember the Weiner thing. That's I'm such a Devlin kid. I never grew up. I never grew up. The Weiner thing. Yeah, I remember that. You talking about Scott Weiner?
Yeah.
You talking about Scott Weiner?
Yeah. So Scott Weiner was working unlawfully without an oath for 6 years. And and remember, nobody would do anything about it. We just talked about
it. And if I can reiterate, we've established that the reason why they're not taking the oath, it's not by accident. It's not because they're lazy. It's not because they slipped their mind. There's somebody there reminding them. They know that this is in place. It's because they're held to a higher level of punishment if they are caught in their crimes. I really believe that all has to do with the Uniform Code of UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice, because now you've sworn that oath, and so they're not going to do it. So Weiner gets busted for all the crimes against humanity he's done while in office. He can't be held before a higher court, is my understanding. I mean, we pretty much decided that's why, or at least we have an awfully good inkling that's the reason they're not taking these oaths, right?
Oh, that's exactly why. So yeah, it's a felony with 3 years in prison to work as a government employee without an oath. Treason of oath is up to and including death. And so you can have very severe punishments. So that's absolutely why they choose not to take oaths. It's definitely deliberate, because I keep telling them, hey, you don't have an oath, file an oath, and they won't do it. And that's to a lot of legislators. But Weiner was the first one I caught, and he went 6 years without an oath. And that's, I jumped through all the hoops, and then I decided to try common law. So I went through the common law system of removing him from office, but there was no sheriff to go arrest him, because like the sheriff has been hijacked by statutory law. So even though I did all the steps, there was no muscle to actually make that happen. And Weiner did actually sign an oath for this term, but I honestly believe he wouldn't have if I hadn't gone on your show and made a huge stink and gotten a lot of publicity about the fact that he'd gone 6 years without one.
Yeah. So he did swear the oath this last time he was reelected, which is coming up on 2 years ago. Or actually, no, excuse me, 6 years. Senate is 6 years, 6-year term, right?
Yeah. So he signed it. It was December 2025 that the legislative cycle started, and he signed an oath in December 2025 for this cycle.
Okay.
But he only signed an oath for 2 years. So he didn't sign an oath for the full term. Anyway.
Interesting.
But anyway, so because we submitted the evidence to DOJ and the White House directly, the people who organized this believe that law enforcement will actually act on these indictments. And since there's already 600, and what was the number?
They'll have to be federal. They'll have to be the feds.
We sent it to the White House and DOJ.
Yeah.
And then I do want to add, because a lot of people are going to say, oh, DOJ is incredible. So DOJ was so the agency that DOJ is part of is called hold on, let me look. It's the U.S. Digital Service, and that was started under the Obama administration. And Trump repurposed it for 4 years, or added a specified division within it for 4 years called DOJ. And DOJ actually expired on July 4th of this year. And so DOJ went away. So, which is the subdivision within the U.S. Digital Service.
You're telling me there's no more Department of Government Efficiency? There's no more official.
No, so it's all about semantics, right? So you're going to have people who say, oh, Doge is incredible. It went away. It's gone. They're not enforcing anything. Like, but that's actually a false narrative. The truth is the U.S. Digital Service is still alive and well. And while they won't be doing any more like mandatory budget cuts, they stopped doing mandatory budget cuts a while ago. It's not like they've been doing that.
You said U.S. Digital Service?
Yeah, it's the U.S. Digital Service. That's
what is that?
Huh?
I said, what is that?
Yeah, so that's the department that he put Doge within. And so that department is still around, and it looks to be permanent. I mean, they're hiring, they're active, like, so, and their mandate is to improve technology across the government sphere. And again, that was started under Obama. It's not a new thing. It's just the Doge agency within it was temporary under Trump. So we submitted everything to Doge, and so people are going to be like, oh, that went away, but the U.S. Digital Service didn't go away. It's still there. So I don't know if the White House and the U.S. Digital Service really are going to enforce the indictments and all these people will be arrested. But time will tell. We'll see. I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful that these arrests really will happen. I mean, I'm trying not to be too overly optimistic in case they don't. Like, I don't want to get my heart set on it, but we'll see.
We don't wish harm on anybody, but we do want wicked to stop. Ephesians 5:11, be no part of the works of darkness, but instead even expose them. That's what Christy and I do. She is a warrior. She's amazing what she's done, what she uncovers, and she doesn't quit. I hope your family supports you in all this, because this is, I believe, vitally important work that you are doing. And you're putting everything on the line to do this, because most people, like I said earlier, they don't want to hear it. They've just quit. La, 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 la. Turn on the game. I don't, what can I do about it? Nothing. Okay, turn the game on. Forget it. I'm out.
We've been traveling on our boat for a year and a half, and I'm not going to lie that I feel a lot safer speaking out about the state of California from afar than I would be in San Diego as a sitting duck waiting for harm to come get me.
Yeah, and that's sad. It is sad. Our state, we got to pull the rug out from under all this, all these wicked people. We've got to, and there's not, other than get registered to vote at registertovote.ca.gov and actually show up this coming November, registertovote.ca.gov. Other than that, what can we do? I feel everyone's frustration, and even the people who I'm disappointed that they have this attitude, but they're literally saying, oh, if I don't see arrests, I'm not even going to show up for midterms. I'm not even going to bother voting. Oh, God, say that.
So I believe at this point, our best vector of attack is public humiliation. That's why shows like yours are so important. Is like Weiner, I will lay a lot of money that Weiner would not have taken an oath this term if it weren't for public humiliation, you know? And so it's only when there's a spotlight shown on what they're doing that they clean up their act. But until there's spotlights, they work in darkness, right? They're cockroaches, but you put the light on and they scatter. So like what matters now is shining the light. That's why shows like yours are so important, because the mainstream media doesn't cover any of this stuff.
So share this show. Share it with everybody. Share it on your social media. She's right about shining the light on cockroaches. I've seen it. I've lived in some sketchy places. You can hear them when the lights are off, skittering around, and oh my goodness, you turn on the lights, boom. And I don't want them to just scatter. I don't want them to go away. I want them to be stopped for good. And that's where the federal government comes in, and that's where these grand juries come in. And there's a civil grand jury too, you said? What is
Okay,
that?
so in statutory law, a civil grand jury is when people bring complaints against the government, and that's common law common law or constitutional law. You can do a civil grand jury where the average person brings a grievance against another person, a corporation, a government agency. A regular person can bring a grievance against anyone in a civil grand jury setting under common law. In California, we also have one under statutory law, and it's something that makes us special, that we actually have the opportunity to work within the belly of the beast. And so that's one of the things that can be done, is to try to get on a civil grand jury. That's easier said than done, but apply at least to try.
We can't even get people to show up for jury duty. It takes a special kind of citizen, a special kind of person to actually want to do that. And those are the people, thank God, that I know. I know a lot of those kind of people, and you. And I just thank God for you. I thank God for you. Do you know how? How can we find out more? How could we get involved? How can we sit on a grand jury? Can we? Just
okay,
little
so
me?
To sit on a grand jury, you need to go to your county's website. Like if you do a search of your county civil grand jury application, it will pop up how to apply, like what steps need to be taken, when there's usually a period where they accept applications of like a month or two. So you know when it is, what the application involves, and you can get ready and submit it. And then they pick the people who they think are going to be the most easily controlled to subdue. So you want to, because the civil grand jury.
So I'm out.
Yeah, and so am I. The civil grand jury is investigating government corruption, right? And so they want someone who's going to be okay with the district attorney sweeping that corruption under the rug. So you have to pretend like you don't care, and I'm retired and I just need something to do and I think it sounds really interesting, or you kind of have to work it so that.
No, I got it. Takia.
Yeah, and so then they take the best applicants of the pool and they interview them, and then whoever does best in the interview, I forget, each county has a different number that they pick, but it's somewhere between, I think, 12 and 25 for most counties. So that's how you get involved in a civil grand jury. Also, you had mentioned last time, like poll watching. That's super important. And like organizations that monitor voting. And I mean, I genuinely believe that those mail-in ballots, like, because you sign the envelope, right? You don't sign the ballot itself. So I think they open up your envelope and they throw away your ballot and they put in a pre-filled one to go along with your envelope. And then there's no way to tell which ballot it was, right? They just have the envelopes. Oh, see, these are all the ballots we ran, but you don't know that that's your ballot. Like, is there anybody there?
That's something I hadn't even thought of.
Yeah, is there somebody watching?
Why do we sign the envelope? Why are we signing the envelope?
And if our signature doesn't match what they decided our signature was supposed to look like, which I don't know where they're getting the signature examples from, because we don't have to show an ID which has our signature on it. They can just toss your ballot. And somebody said, here's the website. Go there. It's a government website, California government website, to track your ballot to make sure yours wasn't thrown away because they decided your signature didn't match. So I went to that website. Nope. No such thing. Not allowed. And it was a .ca.gov. It's so dang frustrating. I don't know what happened to my ballot, whether it was accepted, because I started hearing from all these people go, yeah, they're throwing ballots away because the signatures don't match. The signatures that's on the envelope. And you're right. Why aren't they on the ballot? Why don't we have to sign the ballot? Yes, I actually filled this out. CharLee Simons.
Because your vote's supposed to be secret, but like they can, first of all, mail-in voting shouldn't really be.
Oh, it's got to go.
But, but for
should have never started.
Yeah, except for service people or like, people who have legit
That's
business
different, though. That's different than a
Yeah.
mail. That's your absentee. Absentee has always been in place, and that's a guaranteed right as well.
Right.
And if you're shut in or you're in the military serving overseas, that's what absentee ballots are for, not for your convenience, everybody. So you don't have
Right.
to show up on voting day.
And you know what they do at old folks' homes, right? Like all the people get the ballots in their boxes and somebody goes in and like collects all the ballots out of the boxes and pre-fills them out. Oh, so the
Here's some extra tapioca if you'll sign this, Mrs. Jenkins.
So the San Diego vote tracking thing does work. I mean, I guess yours didn't work for your county, but the San Diego one works. And like my ballot gets counted and Eric's ballot gets counted. But again, I don't know that that's the ballot that I submitted. But here's the thing. My dad, remember I mentioned my dad lived with me for a while? My dad died in 2022 and they won't take him off the voter rolls. And so I believe that the reason why they leave the voting window open for so long is they wait a few days to see what ballots have come in. And then they take all the people who never submitted a ballot and they fill out ballots on their behalf, but they don't update the website with that. Cause like my dad's never voted. I keep checking the website to see if he's voted. He's never voted, but I think like when enough time has passed, they're like, okay, here's the rest of the votes for all the dead people, all the people that moved out of state.
And they can also track that you actually checked.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So your dad will never vote from the grave because you check and they see that you have checked.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Damn. What's going to happen this November, Christy? What do you think? What's your Christy crystal ball say?
The times are so strange. I have no crystal ball, anything. But I will say that all the people who are full of hopium, that all these people are going to be arrested, I hope with all my heart that they're correct.
Yeah, I'll shoot up that hopium. Smoke it, whatever you do to hopium. I'll do it. I'll take it. I want to believe too. I want so badly to see it happen, but I'm not going to check out if it doesn't. Yeah. I'm not going to not vote.
But I was going to say, I won't be the least bit surprised if that never comes to fruition. And if it doesn't come to fruition, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and try to expose corruption and make the cockroaches scatter. And maybe from public pressure and public humiliation, maybe we can get our government in line. I don't know. I can't get them to, I mean, I got Scott Weiner to sign an oath, but I can't get anybody else to sign an oath. Oh, did I tell you I got somebody fired at the franchise tax board?
At the franchise tax board? No, tell us more.
So,
look at us. We're all giddy because somebody got fired. Yes, I get happy when bureaucrats hit the door. When they hit the road and they're out. Oh, I've been cheating the American public and my fellow Californians for 27 years. I've got tenure. No, get out. I don't care. You were willing to see military people who had been serving for years, decades even, get the rug pulled out from under them because they wouldn't take a stupid shot. They lost everything. And you were all happy about that, but I'm supposed to feel badly because franchise tax board Johnny had to hit the road for doing nefarious things. What happened?
Okay, so during my San Diego Superior Court case, they did so much unlawful and shady stuff. It was unreal. So the 3 different people submitted sworn testimony to the court. And amongst those 3 people, there was 11 counts of perjury, 25 counts of obstruction of justice, 15 counts of collusion to cover up embezzlement, 8 counts of collusion to cover up racketeering, and an unlawful denial of pertinent subpoenaed records. So they they hide their accounting fraud by putting the fraud on a year that's not in dispute. And they wouldn't give me the years that weren't in dispute because that's where their accounting fraud was hiding. And I caught it in some other documents that they provided, but they wouldn't let me have all the documents regarding those years. But anyway,
Really?
So, but the worst of it is that the Attorney General retaliated against me. So remember, in that court case, I got hard proof of 8 criminal schemes to overcharge taxpayers. It's like legit racketeering and embezzlement schemes. And it's hard proof of it. And like the FTB submitted these documents as, and verified that they're all like legit documents. And they were all submitted under penalty of perjury, and the FTB never denied the allegations of criminal conduct that were brought forth in these documents. So anyway, I sent the proof of criminal schemes to the FBI, and Rob Bonta, our favorite guy, posted my husband's social security number on the internet to retaliate against us. So anyway,
that is a wicked.
I filed complaints with every agency I could think of regarding all this fraud that had come out. And so in September of 2022, the guy who was the head of the litigation department at the time retired. And in his retirement speech, he basically said that he was retiring because of a BOE case filed a certain date, and that was me, or that caused significant legal challenges or hurdles or something like that. And that was me. So he basically said he was retiring because of what happened in my court case. So then he came back.
With full benefits, of course.
Oh, and they also paid him $130,000 more that year than he's ever made. So he didn't work the whole year. He only worked through the autumn, and he got $130,000 more than he'd ever gotten before. So that's pension spiking, and that's pension fraud, right? To make sure that they get a bigger benefit because their benefit's based on their last couple years of work. So they committed pension fraud for him when they made him retire. So then he was gone for a year and he came back. And I kept checking the Transparent California that publishes the amount of money that government employees make. So I kept checking it and checking it and checking it. And finally, in January of this year, they updated the pension side of it because they'd been updating the pay side of it, but it took them a long time to update the pension side. So I was able to prove that he was collecting both the paycheck from FTB and his pension, which is pension fraud. So at the March 20, so I filed a pension fraud case with CalPERS and CalPERS didn't do anything about it apparently because he was still working there in March. So in March, I made a speech at the Franchise Tax Board quarterly meeting and said, hey, you guys are committing pension fraud. And he was gone the next day because I publicly called him out on it, right? But again, you got to shine the light on the cockroaches.
That is good on you. That's so excellent, man. How do we find you? How do we follow what you're doing? How do we get involved with Chisti Grab?
Well, there's not really a whole lot to do to get involved because I kind of do my own thing at my own pace. But I put as much as I can on my website so that people can follow my example, so that people can see what I've done and what worked and what didn't work. Like, I don't want you guys to have to reinvent the wheel. I just want you to take my work, copy it, make minor changes to suit your particular situation and run with it. Because yeah, I've done some damage all by myself. And if other people run with it too, like as a group, we can do significant damage, right? So my website is gwsandiego.net.
Spell that out. GWG as in George, W as in Washington. GW, yep. Right?
Okay. And then San Diego, SANDIEGO.net. I think we fixed the /blog problem, but If you have an issue going to my website at gwsandiego.net, put /blog, and then it'll work. I'm very responsive to email. And my email address is Chisti, CHRISTI, at gwsandiego.net. The first time you email me, you will get an autoresponder message back saying, please verify that you're a human. Because I am being spammed to death. Like, I had to put on an aggressive spam filter. Because I was getting so much spam that it was eating all the memory, like all the data that we bought.
Right.
But like, my website would go down because so much spam was in the box. So I had to put an aggressive spam filter on to keep the spam out so that my website could stay consistently active.
Thank God that that's available.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
But I do check the spam filter. So if you don't respond to that, like, chances are I'll still get the email. But yeah.
I love it. Thank you. You just you already got so much going on. Sure, it'd be nice if we had one place like a Substack or something where we could get together at X, what do they call it? It used to be called Spaces on X. I think they changed the name, but something like that. I wonder if that's possible, or if that would be an encouragement to anybody to actually who want to get involved in this fight with you. I don't know. Just a thought.
Well, I'm open. So, like, if you find something that you think is good, I'm totally open.
I got my website. That's believe me, that keeps me busy enough. But
I know,
thank you so much. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, anytime. Open door policy here, sister. Thank you, my friend. Tell your husband I said howdy.
I will.
Don't go away though. Stay here, okay, for a little bit. My website is charleesimons.com. Right there, CHARLEE, because my name's Charles Lee. It's why I spell it that way. CHARLEE. SIMONS, just one M with an S on the end. CharLeeSimons.com. You can buy yourself one of these awesome coffee mugs, these big old 15-ounce mugs. Let's talk about politics and religion. That'd look awfully good on your boat there, Chisti. Right there. Of course, it's red. And I got shirts and hats and all kinds of stuff on there. And you'll be helping the show stay on the air that way. So thank you. There's other ways you can if you just want to give, you want to contribute. I could use the help financially right now. I'm telling you right up front, more costs have been incurred, and just saying, pray about it. CharLeeSimons.com. There's ways to give there and contact me, and you can even book a guest slot on the show. That's how Chisti got on the show again. She booked through my website, CharLeeSimons.com. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. Most importantly, America, bless God.